Thank you so much for the introduction. So I want to jump into my talk with a question. So do you all feel like you're constantly chasing deadlines or feeling the weight of responsibilities? Yeah, most of us. So all of us fall prey to that naturally, whether it's getting into a good college and then getting your grades high, then landing a well-paying job along with family responsibilities, our personal goals and all of that. It's very natural for all of us to fall prey to that pressure, and I'm sure everyone can relate to that. So one thing I've realized over time is that most of us don't work with time, we work kind of chasing something and away from the time that we have. You know, something as simple as having our morning coffee. It's not an event that we just, sip our coffee, think about our day. It's more like, okay, let's finish it quickly so we can jump on to the next task of our day and get our to-do list going. So if you think about it that way, we're always chasing something constantly. And we all live in a very fast-paced world. Each day becomes more and more competitive, and our goals, our likes, dislikes, everything is always constantly chasing. And all of this, the pace of the world that we're in now tends to put a lot of pressure on us. And again, I'm sure that's something all of us relate to. So in my experience so far, as ironic as it may seem, I think one way to ride that wave and actually enjoy it is to dwell in the present, is to just slow down. And for me, dwelling means slowing down and absorbing everything around us, taking into factor the reality that we're in, and that's something what I wanted to talk about. And I want to get into a little bit of a personal story to explain why I believe in it so strongly. So I graduated from law school in 2020, right into the pandemic. And again, I'm sure everybody knows that the pandemic was a period of uncertainty, anxiousness, stress, and negativity for all of us. So once I graduated, I noticed that all my peers, my friends, they immediately jumped into their jobs. They were moving cities, their careers were starting up. Those who were a little confused were upskilling by doing online courses, and everyone around me just felt like they were moving towards something, and I felt stuck. Throughout law school, throughout even high school for that matter, I never knew what I wanted to do. My sister, for example, always knew she wanted to become a doctor. And me, we lived in the same house, similar circumstances, but I was just as confused. I never knew what I wanted to do. And so my grandfather always told me, if you're confused, talk to 100 people, but always do what feels right for you and always do what you really want to. So during the pandemic, I felt like, okay, it's time for me to really take that plunge and venture into something. Because I always had that entrepreneurial bug in me, but it was largely wrapped up in a cocoon. So I felt like it was time to tap into that. And I started talking to people. I started my research process. And eventually I realized every problem in my life, I just tried to convert it into a business idea. Anything that I saw, I was like, maybe that could be a business. I kept doing that for a while. But absolutely nothing struck a chord with me, nothing, like I could really relate to nothing at that point. And throughout all of this, I felt even more anxious, even more stressed, even more lost and directionless than I did before when I started all of this. And then I was kind of taking it a little slow, and suddenly the idea to start my own activewear brand came to me one fine day. I don't know how, but one fine day. And I felt like it struck a chord with me. I could relate to it. And so that's how MileActive was born, and it just felt so obvious to me. So to give you a little bit of backstory as to why it was such an obvious thing, but I just never saw it, I was working out for a couple of years by then, and I was consuming activewear from different brands. My introduction to activewear came through my sister's hand-me-downs. So I was kind of in that world. I knew all the problems that women faced with activewear. But it just took me so long to get to that point because I was constantly chasing something. I put the pressure of, oh my God, I need to start something right now because I finished college, I'm sitting at home, my friends are going places, they're moving in their career. I put that pressure on me, and I was just like, I need to start something right now. And that's why I was moving away from something that was actually surrounding me all the time. So it was so obvious, but I just failed to see it for so long. So that's how my journey into starting MileActive began, and I think the fact that I took my time with it has even though felt like pressure then, has really shaped who I am right now and finally got to the place that I am with Mile Active. So yeah, for me, I feel like we have to really take into account the circumstances that we're in, and there's always a solution right around us if you just pause and really acknowledge the present that we're in. So even now, a couple of months after starting my Activewear business, I find myself at crossroads, and I keep thinking, okay, like, this is not going right, that's not going right, and I always think I should chase the next best thing. I tend to lose focus of the fact that I've actually come this far, and I tend to lose focus of the fact that I have been achieving small milestones that I've set for myself, and I'm actually living one of the dreams that I've only ever dreamt of. So when I tend to lose focus of this, again, I try to learn from my previous experience, which is to slow down. Every time I lose focus and I don't feel satisfied about the situation that I'm in, I have to remind myself to slow down and really dwell in everything. We need to talk to people around us and absorb the environment that we're in so that we can keep moving ahead. Again, coming from a background that didn't have much business or anything like that in it, I didn't have formal education in design either. So a lot of it has been learning on the go and learning from people around me. I had to make the most use of online resources and every resource that I could find, just because the background I came from is completely different to what I'm doing, right? So even then, when I kind of face hurdles in the way, dead ends on the way, I have to always, again, constantly remind myself that I have come far, and that's how you should just keep going, keep pushing yourself. And honestly, to always just take a step back, see the circumstances that you're in, the situation that you're in, absorb everything, and make the most out of it. And one more thing that I wanted to kind of touch upon a little bit is that just because I personally learned from this and I've moved on from feeling stuck and feeling directionless, again, just because I allowed myself to really dwell in the moment and take that pause, I've realized that conquering something again can mean differently for everyone. So for me, I like to think that taking that pause and really introspecting and reflecting is actually a small baby step in conquering something. There's no point in just rushing after things that, it may not align with what you want. So I think it's completely all right to take time for yourself and really figure out what you really want to do and keep moving forward, which is exactly what I did. And it might seem like the most daunting thing to do, starting something on your own, the fear of failure, the uncertainties, and the confusion that comes along with it. But it's all about conquering those tiny battles each and every day when you wake up, and take each day as it comes to really move forward. So yeah, and again, success is something that's extremely subjective. It could mean differently for every one of us sitting in this room. And even conquering those goals, those personal and professional goals that we set up for ourselves along the way, it's different for all of us. And yeah, I feel like keeping in touch with yourself, keeping in touch with reality, and truly understanding the power of manifesting and understanding the power of now is what will really help us dwell and conquer anything that we set our minds to. Thank you so much.